choice of sexual partner is a form of prejudice, right? I mean, maybe it should be distributed in an egalitarian manner. Hey, that would be a lot funnier if it isn't a possibility. In Huxley's Brave New World, that was the rule. You shared yourself with whoever asked, because it was rude not to. And you know what? It is actually rude not to. It's seriously rude. Now, is that something you want to take away from people? You want that to be distributed in an egalitarian fashion? How prejudiced are you when you choose someone to sleep with? You choose that person and not everyone else. It's the ultimate in prejudice. If you say, well, that's not prejudicial. Oh, yes, it is. You usually go for the most attractive partner you can find. You usually go for the healthiest partner. You go for the best person you can find who can tolerate you. It's prejudicial in every possible way.
Here's the million-dollar question that nobody has been asking throughout this process. This concept of systemic and institutionalized racism. If it really exists, let's examine every system and institution in American culture today. Higher education and academia, big tech, large corporations, Hollywood, the music industry, movies, everything that permeates our culture daily, all the way up to the federal government, is all controlled by the left.
Right.
So if there's really systemic and institutionalized racism, as our president of the United States says, who's really at fault to blame?
That is a great question.
People in other parts of the world are not teaching their young children to hate their own country. And if you continue to do this, how is the West going to do in the battle of civilizations? Because that's what we're in, right? The Chinese want to thrive, the Russians want to thrive, and they're teaching their children to be strong, to be confident, to go out there to learn science instead of, equity and diversity. And a bridge doesn't work very well if it's built on diversity instead of math. So
I'm with you. I had a realization. I was in Miami with my girl, and a couple guys from the beach, like working on the chairs and stuff like that, came out to me like, yo, I love your videos, bro, keep it up, fist pound, move on. And then the same amount of times my girl was getting the same attention. Wow, you're so beautiful, I love what you do with your hair, thank you. I was like, why do we have the same self-esteem? It took my whole life sitting in the basement of a train station with an ungrateful cameraman. You know what she did? Took a shower, put on some lotion. I needed to work my whole fucking life for what you get by showering. That's the basis of how the world sees us. If you can't admit that, then you're living in a lie.
You recently talked about how Andrew Tate was a setup.
You think? What? The most interesting thing about Andrew Tate is not Andrew Tate, it's the reaction to Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's core message is respect yourself. Act like you're worth something. Achieve something. Do something. Get the fuck off the couch. Put down the porn. Go do something with your life. That's the greatest message that anyone could give. Why would that be threatening? Because you don't want an independent, self-respecting population in your country. That's why. The spirit that animates Andrew Tate is very clear and very obvious, and it's not a malicious spirit at all.
Here's the million-dollar question that nobody has been asking throughout.
I'm told. Gay marriage, a flag amendment, and God only knows what else. I can't believe the American people can't see through this. We already have a law, the Defense of Marriage Act. We've all voted, I voted, and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman.
Do you think men are important? Like for what? We'll take a break.
What's that?
Do you have a female officer present while you're patting her down?
Nope. How do you know that I don't identify as a female? You good? Yep. Fucking smart ass.
Can you name any rights men have today that women don't?
Any rights that men have that women do not? Any rights that men have that women do not? No. No.
So then what laws are feminists fighting for?
Shit, that's a good one. Shit, that's a good one.
Most men will only experience unconditional love from their mothers, and some of us don't even get that. Most of us have never even felt appreciation or respect without conditions or hidden intentions. We don't know what it sounds like to hear, I see you, and I'm proud of you. I'm glad you're here. You really make a difference, yet the expectation is to constantly be displaying the strength and love that the world is hesitant in conveying. We're expected to have a thick skin but get judged if it turns to a hard shell. The first step in being a man is ignoring the hunger. Because yes, boy, you're going to be starving. Starved of attention, starved of affirmation, starved of love, starved of being told that you are enough. Step 2 in being a man is comfortability with replaceability. You are only as good as you are useful. You are only as valuable as you are needed by others. Should there ever come a day, boy, where you fail to provide everybody with a smiling face, then do not be surprised when they say all men do is take up space.
Women confuse this very often. They talk about the fact that men have all the power, men make all the money, men are in charge, and we oppress women. Let me make something very clear to you. Okay. Firstly, you're confusing 1% of men with all men. The majority of men have no money, no power, no sex from their wife, no fucking chance in court. They can't even keep their house. They won't get to see their kids, and they don't. So most men, their life sucks. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing, when a man gets up at 4 a.m. to go carry garbage to earn a good wage, he ain't thinking, I'm gonna do this so I can oppress that bitch because she's broke. He's doing it thinking so I can provide for my family, so my woman can stay at home and raise my kids and have nice nails while I'm out here carrying trash. You go to a coal mine, those dudes are not down there thinking about oppressing women. They're down there thinking about providing for women. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that there's not bad apples, but in general, us men are prepared to take on more bullshit to protect you than you would possibly believe.
All of my friends are men. I don't have female friends. I don't. I'm incapable of that.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, because, you know, come on.
Because you have a wife?
Well, I have a wife, and I don't really have female friends because, look, you're an attractive woman. There are some guys somewhere saying, yeah, we're friends. No, that's not true. He's your friend only because you have made it absolutely clear that nothing else is happening except this friendship we have. We remain your friends in hopes that one day there'll be a crack in the door, a chink in the armor, and trust and believe that guy that you think is just your buddy, he will slide in that crack the moment he gets the opportunity. Because we're
most
guys.
Men think this way?
99.9% of us think that.
Is a new study out today that says women become unhappy as they get older, while the flip side, men get happier as life goes on.
First of all, this study was conducted by mostly men. And when men conduct anything, they talk about their finances because men judge themselves by the size of their wallet. Toys, dare I say. So, you put all your toys together in a parking lot and it makes you happy. If they were to ask other questions in this study about spirituality, about the other aspects of our lives, that women would have taken over. I mean, first of all, a woman hits her sexual prime at 35. There's a reason that women live longer, Mark. Let me tell you. It is because we are stronger and we are happier at the end of the day than most men. And that is factual and you know it.
When men are married to women who scream like you, they just want to die sooner.
For example, in the Army, no more pull-ups at all. You could do a leg tuck. Too many women failed that, so they could do a plank. In the Marines, women can do half as many pull-ups, achieve a perfect score. And then what happened is a lot of women were complaining because they felt singled out. So they created a gender-neutral test. That was the same test for men and women, kind of between the two standards, which I disagree with. I think it should be the higher standard. Less than 10% of men failed, 65% of women failed. So 55 to 65% failed a gender-neutral test designed to accommodate women. There is no way to lower the standards anymore and still have women in physical combat roles. We have lowered the standards of physical combat readiness to a degree that frankly is embarrassing to accommodate women, and the majority of them still fail. But you told me you didn't think it was true.
Okay. Are you going to let me finish?
Well, I know, but I'm saying there's disagreeing and there's truth.
Parents are black, all 8 of my great-grandparents, all 16 of my great-greats. On my mother's side, my ancestors were enslaved in Alabama. On my father's side, we were enslaved in Texas. I am not oppressed. I'm not oppressed, and I'm not a victim. I'm neither oppressed nor a victim. I travel all across this country of ours. and I check into hotels, and I fly commercially, and I walk into retail establishments, and I order food in restaurants. I go wherever I want, whenever I want. I am treated with kindness, dignity, and respect, literally from coast to coast. I have 3 children. They are not oppressed either, although they are victims. I've taught my children they are victims of 3 things: their own ignorance, their own laziness, and their own poor decision making. That is all. My children, we are not victims of America. We are not victims of some unseen 190-year-old force that kind of floats around in the ether. Putting critical race theory into our classrooms is taking our nation in the wrong direction. Racism in America would by and large be dead today if it were not for certain people and institutions keeping it on life support.
My perception of you doesn't affect you unless you let it. Like, if you call me an I'm not gonna be like, man, I'm an I'm gonna be like, no. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. So if I identify as a male, or if I identify as a female, and somebody calls me the opposite, why does that matter? Because it doesn't affect me.
But it does affect those people, because these
but
people
that's a choice.
That for them to be affected?
Yeah.
Well, obviously how you react to scenarios, it's like, it's entirely up to you, but in these scenarios, it's like, when you have someone and they're just purposely misgendering you, it's because they don't look at you like that. They don't look at you like you are.
Yeah, but why does it matter how they look at you? If I'm in that situation and I'm trans, why do I have to force someone else to perceive me the way I want them to?
You technically don't have to, but the thing about it is when it comes to being a trans woman and having someone purposely just be like, you're a man, just because you have a still.
What happens if you say that and someone gets offended? Well, they can be offended. What's wrong with being offended? When did sticks and stones may break my bones stop being relevant? Isn't that what you teach children, for God's sake? That's what you teach toddlers. He called me an idiot. Don't worry about him. He's a dick. Now you have adults going, I was offended, and I have rights. Well, so what? Be offended. Nothing happens. You're an adult. Grow up. Deal with it. I was offended. I don't care. Nothing happens when you're offended. There's nothing. I went to the comedy show, and the comedian said something about the Lord, and I was offended. And when I woke up in the morning, I had leprosy.
Believe that if he wants a sandwich,
you make daddy a sandwich.
Most of the time.
No. Let me ask you this. Well, okay, let me ask you this. If me and you out, and somebody say something slick to you,
you punch him in the face.
You want me to smack him in his mouth, right?
That's right.
So if I take you on a date and I say, look, baby, we gonna go Dutch.
No.
Exactly. If we walking up to the car and I don't open your car door, what do you say?
Open the door.
You better believe it.
Yeah, no, I am with you. I think
so you make daddy a sandwich.
I think...
Why do you think that all of the leftists are going for all of these policies that are very obviously damaging to our country?
A couple of reasons. I'll take the nicer one first. Never ascribe to malice that which is explained by stupidity. Their political agenda is utopian, and they actually want to deny the truth, whether that is biological reality, whether that is moral reality. And I think they really believe that through their own willfulness, they can redefine reality, that everything is just socially constructed. And if all of our ideas about what's right and wrong and true and false are socially constructed, then they can be deconstructed and they can be reconstructed again. So I think that's the poison at the heart of their ideology that makes them think that they can be as gods. The second thing is that revolutionaries tend to empty the jails. That's something you see in the French Revolution. You just saw it in Afghanistan, as a matter of fact. They tend to do this sort of thing because it creates chaos, and chaos breeds opportunity for everybody, but especially for people who want to upend the traditional order. It's part of a broader political strategy, and I'm sorry to say, I think it's working.
That was on the nose.
If you were born a boy, you stay a boy. Girls are girls right from the start. When you're born a girl baby, you grow up to be a bigger girl and then a woman. Only girls can grow up to be the mummies. Only boys can grow up to be the daddies. Everybody's fancy, everybody's fine. Your body's fancy, and so is mine. I think you're a special person. And I like your ins and outsides. Everybody's fancy, everybody's fine. Your body's fancy, and so is mine. True.
Say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or, because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game? What does it actually mean to be equal? You know what I mean? Like, if women are actually equal to men, then there would be no WNBA, would there? You would just be good enough to play in the NBA with us. Or, here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the fuck up.
But let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child.
Men are more valuable as we get older. Every man, every woman knows that. Every woman will sit here and go, yeah, I want a man who's older than me. Of course. But if I say it the other way around, I'm misogynistic. It's just the reality of the world. So then we have to go into the other point. The point is this. When you were at your peak value, you had zero interest in monogamy. But then you find a man who's 35 at his peak value. He's finally struggled and worked, because when he was 19, no girl spoke to him. When he was 23, he was broke. When he was 24, he had no life experience. When he was 25, he couldn't fuck. He finally gets to the point where he's now at his peak value. Him at 35 is you when you were 19. And then you're sitting there saying to him, no, you should be monogamous. It's like, well, you fucking weren't. You did whatever you wanted in your peak. Now I'm finally got there. And I had to work for my shit. God and L'Oreal gave you. I had to fucking struggle. I had to go through hell to get on this yacht. You got on the yacht with an Instagram DM. I had to buy it. And now you're telling me I need to fucking settle down and behave and grow up? Fuck you.
Why? Because I'm wearing these ribbons. I care more than any of you about anything. And these ribbons say so. I want you people sitting at home and you people in the audience, look down at your lapel right now. I want you to do this. Put the camera back on me. Do this. When you look down, what do you see? You don't see anything because you're not wearing any ribbons. It means you're a bigot. It means you're a racist. It means you're a sexist. It means you're a homophobe. It probably means you're a white guy. It probably means you're a European, and you alone are responsible for all the ills of America. But I'm not, because I'm wearing these ribbons. I care more than you.
I don't know. Life is good. We get to do anything we want. It's crazy how free we are in America. I know everyone says that, oh, there's no freedom anymore, blah, blah. No, if I want to be a lady tomorrow, I can. That's how good we have it. I can just be a lady tomorrow, and none of you will say shit. I'll be at the coffee shop and your kids will be looking at me and you'll be like, don't stare at the... Not one person's gonna go, what's with the 6'4" bearded? Not one person. That's how we just do anything. That's how good it is to be us. My dad couldn't have done that. My dad couldn't have just worn a dress to the factory. They would have murdered him. They would have murdered him. They'd have been arrested. The judge would have been some old white bigot. He'd be like, well, they had to kill him. He's wearing a dress. Not guilty. Get out of here, boys. Right? That's... Not now. Not in the good time. Now, if I wear a dress to work and you don't call me Christine, you're fired. What a time to be alive.
I remember one night I was with a girl. I was like 20 years old. I was already doing stand-up. And I did a show in Washington, D.C. And after the show, one of the waitresses came back to my hotel. She was really cute. And we're making out in my hotel, and she's into it. She's like humping me. So I start putting my hand up her shirt, and she stops me. I'm like, okay. So then we're making out more, and I start putting my hand on her ass, and she stops me. So after a while, she went home. Nothing happened. And then the next night, I started the club, and she goes, hey, what happened last night? I was like, what? And she goes, how come we didn't have sex? I was like, because you didn't want to. She's like, yes, I did. I was really into it. I was like, why did you keep stopping me? And she goes, because I wanted you to just go for it. I was like, what does that mean? She says, I'm kind of weird. I get turned on when a guy just gets frustrated and just holds me down and fucks me. Like, that's a big turn on for me. I was like, well, you should have told me. I would have happily done that for you. And she says, no, it has to feel real and dangerous. I'm like, what are you, out of your fucking mind? You think I'm just gonna rape you on the off chance that hopefully you're into that shit?
You're tired of straight white men having the power and everything, you know? And it's like, we as women of color, as like students at this university, like we're very much capable of certain things, and we don't have the same privileges that are offered to straight white men.
And I've been hearing that from a lot of the ladies that I've been talking to today. Talk to me about what some of those privileges are that, you know, straight white men have that you don't have. Talk to me about that.
I think I don't really know. Have you ever experienced like a specific instance?
But I also need to go.
I know, I do need to go. I'm sorry.
One of my chicks, I'd make her make me 2 coffees every morning. She'd make me 2 coffees, and one I would drink, and the other I wouldn't even drink. I'd just leave it to go cold. And she'd say, why do you make me make you 2 coffees? The second one's just like an insult because you never drink it. You just make me make it because you want me to bring it to you, but you're not going to drink it. And I said, if someone broke into this house at night, I will die trying to protect you. That's my job. I will literally risk my life. If we're walking down the street and a guy tries to grab your ass, it's on. I have to risk my life against Mike Tyson, whoever he may be. He might be strapped, he might have anything. I have to risk my life to protect you. That's my job as a man. And you have a problem making a coffee?
At this point now, I've asked 3 billionaires and 6 people who are worth 100 million and up, what's your number 1 piece of financial advice? Every single one of them, I shit you not, their top piece of financial advice was be careful who you marry. Not because the person you marry as a man could theoretically take half of your assets if you get divorced, but because the person that you marry is ultimately the person that you're going to be building an empire with. This is the person that will motivate you when you're down on your lowest days, or they could be tearing you down on your best days. So I thought it was really interesting that wealthiest people that I've had conversations with, they all agreed that your number 1 cornerstone as a man trying to build wealth is ultimately going to be your partner. It makes sense.
You started it. You started it. So I see you on social media and on the news and out marching the street, crying your crocodile tears and claiming that you're being set upon by fascist right-wingers who won't let you just live your lives in peace. What do we ever do to you, you cry? Why are you so angry at us? Well, let me answer that question. You see, the rest of us were living our lives. We were minding our own business when you came along and demanded that we abandon everything we know about fundamental physical reality for your sake. That's what you did. You claim the right to walk into whatever bathroom you want, whatever locker room, whatever sports team. Nobody else has ever had that right. Nobody else has ever had that right to just do whatever they want, go anywhere they want. But you wanted it. You came after our children, seeking to suck them into your suicide cult just to make yourselves feel better. You tried to restructure human society to make it affirming to you personally. You wanted to force the whole world to bend to your narcissism. You tried to put words in our mouths. You tried to control how we speak, even when you're not in the room. Your ego is so out of control that you even tried to take possession of parts of the English language, like you can own them.
If I'm in a bikini, I'm at a pool party. I'm in a bikini, I'm rolling up.
Yep.
Right? I'm talking to my homegirl, boom. Nigga just come behind me, slap my ass.
Yep.
He's in the right.
I never said that.
I chose to wear a bikini instead of shorts.
Okay. What is that there's a lot of pieces of shit out there. What is that there's a lot of bad people out there. What is there's a lot of sexual predators out there that are willing to take opportunities and that present themselves. You can't control the world and you can't control the weirdos out there. So if you, one of the few things you do control is how you dress, how the world perceives you, being safe, etc. So this is why men don't like their girl dressing in a certain way, because men know these threats. Men have to accept reality, men have to accept danger, etc. So a lot of times when a guy's telling you, yo, I don't like you being dressed like that, 9 out of 10 times what you're trying to argue with them, I don't want to change, and asking him for a dumbass explanation. Listen, I'm telling you not to do this because I know the dark side of the world, because men have to experience these things. They know what men are capable of. So even though what that guy did is reprehensible, he shouldn't be touching women that he doesn't know, we got to operate on reality. That's what happens when you sexualize yourself. When a man sexualizes a woman, 9 out of 10 times that woman sexualized herself. And women got to bear some responsibility for sexualizing themselves to some degree, because the world is a cold place and it doesn't owe you understanding. So if you want to dress like a hoe, hold on. If you want to dress like a hoe, be prepared for idiots out there to treat you like a hoe, even though you shouldn't be treated that way. But hey, they're going to go off a hoe uniform, aren't they?